Oh, okay. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to this webinar, Aubay sponsored webinar on the cultural differences between Portuguese and British enterprises and their corporate cultures. Well, we have three speakers who are willing to share their experience working for British companies, or at least international companies with a strong presence in Great Britain. They're going to share their experiences with us, and I would like to first of all thank them for their availability and their willingness to share their experiences, and also thank the rest of you, our audience, for making this event meaningful, because of course there is no point in having people wanting to share their experiences if we don't have anyone to share them with. So in a way, our audience plays a key role in this webinar. So my name is Carla. I am an English teacher. I have been an English teacher for around 15 years now. And I've been working for Aubay as an English teacher for nearly 6 years. So my role here will be the mere role of a moderator. I don't know anything about technology or information technologies. I'm by no means an expert in business culture or organization or enterprise culture or anything like that. I'm just an English teacher, and my role here will be the one of, so to speak, the weather control. So creating the right conditions for you to be able to share meaningful and relevant experiences, and then for our audience to be able to ask the questions they have always wanted to ask but never had the chance to. So having introduced myself, I believe that the main goal of this webinar will be to answer two key questions. First of all, is it really different to work for? If the answer to the first question is indeed yes, it is actually different, then we will start breaking down those differences and start to understand how different they are. I will suggest that you make your notes, you write down your notes throughout the webinar, because in the end, we will allow at least 20 minutes for questions from the audience. So feel free if you want to ask us any questions, of course, not me, but our speakers, our special guests. So I will start. I think it's a good way to start by asking our speakers to introduce themselves. And so maybe let's do this systematically. So let's go in alphabetic order and let's ask Bruno to introduce himself. Bruno, can you briefly say who you are, what your educational and professional background is, and how you ended up working for a British company?
Yeah. So guys, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here speaking with all of you guys. So my name is Bruno. I'm working for Aubay for 4 years now. I am at the moment working in a project for a company called Reckitt. It's a company based on the UK, but has a great presence on all the markets around the world. So at the moment, that is the project that I'm working on. I am a Scrum Master and team manager of the team that we have at the moment, providing services to Reckitt. Before this project, I was working for Microsoft Portugal, also for all the EMEA region. And before that, I had several experience with different Portuguese companies, some related with the world of technologies, other related with other areas. But well, that's it. That is my presentation.
Yeah, but I think you missed an important point there, Bruno, because you trained initially as something very different, right?
Yeah. I am a teacher. And so far back in time, I was a teacher. I was teaching small kids to learn, to write, to do math, And after a severe change in my life due to the conditions in Portugal around education, I decided to change and do a completely different thing, but the thing that I love, that is work on in the world of technology. So here I am, after a bunch of years, after a bunch of trial and errors, I'm here.
Okay, so I guess it's fair to say that you've made a good decision when you decided to take a different turn in your career.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. First of all, the market is completely different, right? We have the ability to choose a little. Is also a world that is always changing. We cannot stop learning, cannot stop trying to improve ourselves. So it's also a challenging world. So I love a good challenge. So
So it seems to me that you're
yeah,
in the
I
right
think so.
place right now. Okay, thank you very much. And now we will proceed with Guilherme Andrasco. Guilherme, so can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Hi everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm glad to, if I can add something useful for all of you. My name is Guilherme. I'm Portugal since 2019. I was hired for Aubay. Immediately when I get in Aubay, I went to VAT, which is a British company, but the development team is mostly in Lisbon. So I have no experience with Portuguese company except Aubay, but is a different, a day-to-day work in a British company. It's different than what I do with Aubay. So I may, okay, I will let the, sorry, I was about to talk a lot of things right now, but I'll just remain this basic introduction. I've been working with computer science. It's been 7 years. I've I've been a full stack software engineer. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yes, but moving countries is a big decision in your life, right?
Yeah,
So what
yeah,
motivated that?
yeah. I think personal wise, I would like to explore the world. I've never been abroad, but I also wanted to experience an international project. The proposal from Aubay was good. So it's just I was looking for new challenge for my career, and I bring my wife together. It
So you brought your wife with you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
And why
exactly.
Portugal? Of all countries, why Portugal?
Yeah, and I didn't intend to go to Portugal. I was just looking companies and then doing the interview process, and just I was like, okay, uh 2 years later or three, I'll move to another company. And then I was invited in LinkedIn uh, for, by Alexandre Vale. So many of you may know him. And then it was the first time I started to think about going to Portugal, and I do some research about it. And it's a good country with a lot of Brazilians, with a lot of cultural, similar things to Brazil. So I thought that, okay, if I don't like Portugal, I can move later. But I think the adapt, I don't know this word. It will be easier to adapt to Europe going to Portugal. But since I am in Portugal, I don't intend to leave. Yeah, I enjoy being in Portugal, and I expect to be here for a long time.
Okay, just one more question for you. The fact that there was no language barriers between Brazil and Portugal, did it play a role in your decision to come to Portugal?
No, I was thinking exactly the opposite, because I thought that I would like the biggest challenge that I could get. But thinking about my wife, she wasn't fluent. I'm not fluent as well. I'm thinking I'm more advanced. And I thought that for she start to work would be better for a Portuguese language. But for me, I didn't think that English would be a barrier, you know.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, Douglas, I have to apologize. First thing I said that we're going to go in alphabetic order, and I failed miserably because I decided to ask Guilherme before you.
Your
So
alphabet is broke, Carla.
now it's your turn. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Douglas. I'm from Brazil. I'm here in Portugal since 2018, working to Aubay, so 2.5 years now. In Brazil, I study computer science, and I am a developer. I worked 1.5 year here in Portugal in this company called Cap HPI, that is an English company. And because of the COVID problems, they shut down the contract with Aubay, and I moved to a new company, and it's a Belgian company now. I continue working remote, and it's pretty much the same. I work for an English company, for a Belgian company, and I never worked for a Portuguese client. But yeah, I think I can help with doubts about how English companies work and how it's the culture inside English companies, stuff like that.
Okay, but let me explore a little bit more the fact that you decided to move to Portugal. So again, I will ask you the same question. Why moving to a different country? Why moving abroad? And why Portugal of all countries?
Yeah, it is a big decision. I have a European passport.
An European passport?
Yes, from Spain, and my wife and my daughter have from Germany. So when we start to think about moving abroad, it was because of violence in Brazil, and we don't see perspective in that changing in the near future. So we think about moving, and we choose Europe. And I have friends that are moving to Portugal at the same time I was moving, and so it was an easier choice. Mainly for my daughter, it's easy for her to study. She's 8 years now, so it's easier for her to study on a school where they speak Portuguese. She's having English and Spanish classes now, so maybe in the future, I don't know, we can move to another country. But for now, we are liking a lot to live in Portugal.
So you have been enjoying your experience here.
Yes, a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So I would now start asking you more specific questions. But before that, I will ask each one of you a very quick and concrete answer to this question. Is it really different to work for a Portuguese company or to a British company, Bruno? What would you say?
Yeah, I think is very different. It's very different. We live in a global world, right? Where if you want to work on a big company, we know that we have to deal with different markets, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, whatever, right? So if we go to one of those companies, I think that we cannot put it in, well, I'm working for a UK company, because it will be spread all over the world and doing business every single day with different countries, different markets. A Portuguese company that is not an international company, I think is a completely different thing, right? Starting with the language that we use every single day, right? And the ability to speak Portuguese 24/7 and write in Portuguese, that is something that we don't have, right? At the moment, I think that I write better in English than in Portuguese, because I don't use Portuguese. So I think that there is several differences, big differences between.
So your answer would be yes. It is
yeah, was not the short answer. Sorry.
No, it's okay, perfectly fine. Douglas, what would you say? Is it different to work for a Portuguese company or to a British company?
Yeah, as I said, yes. Not on the language is different, that is a challenge, but yes, on the cultural aspect, I believe it's different.
So different as well. And you, Guilherme, what would you say? How would you answer this question?
Yeah, I probably would do some research to figure out that, because I've never been a Portuguese company. What I've experienced that I can tell about is the recruiting process that I've been through for Portuguese companies and UK companies or international companies. I think the process is quite similar.
Okay, but hold on a minute, please, Guilherme. Just yes or no. Is it different or is it not different?
Probably it is, if I think that, for example, national companies in Brazil and international projects, I would say yes.
Okay, so we've got 3 yeses. So I think we have established beyond any doubt that it is actually different working for for companies of these 2 nationalities. And we'll now start trying to break down these differences. And my first question was precisely about the recruitment process, because that's the beginning of the entire process. I'm going to start with you, Guilherme, because you mentioned that in the outline you sent me about the differences. You mentioned something about the recruitment process. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I've been done this recruitment process some time ago, and I got some offers. The process normally is basically the same. You have the calling for the R8, and then you have to do some tech test, and then you talk with a manager or these kind of things. So basically it's the same. The difference that I noted was regarding the salary. Normally the international companies can pay 2,000 net salary easily, and more than that. And national companies, normally they have the budget a little bit limited. It's comprehensive, but I can tell this difference.
So that's the major difference you would point out between the recruitment processes in Portuguese and British, or national and British companies.
Yeah, of my point of view, yes.
From your point of view, the process is essentially the same, but the job offer in terms of salary conditions are significantly different.
Yeah. Normally the process is made by the same recruiter, so probably
it's very likely to be pretty much the same. Douglas, do you have anything to say about the recruitment process? Did you experience any major differences?
My experience, no, I believe it's more company thing than country thing. The recruitment process that I have on The UK company was pretty easy, only a few talks. For the Belgian company, it was a little challenging and a call. So yeah, it's pretty much the same of the ones that I do in Portugal. I don't feel too much difference.
And do you agree with Guilherme when he says that in terms of salary conditions, there are huge differences between the two?
I don't know because yeah, my salary was with Aubay. I was contract for Aubay before I have a client, and I have already a salary defined. So when
So
I
you don't really
was
have an opinion about that.
it's not something that I discuss
Okay.
my interviews.
All right. And you, Bruno, can you add anything to this issue of recruitment and job offer, mainly salary conditions?
Yeah. From my experience, I think any big company, international company from UK or not, will have extensive process of recruitment with a lot of interviews, with technical assessments and all of that. It's usual for us to need to do 3, 4, 5 interviews with 1 or 2 technical assessments in the middle, because the big company will want to ensure that they are hiring the right person, right? But depending of the position that we want to hire, right? In Portugal, in the Portuguese market, the assessments, technical assessments, interviews are not that exhaustive, right? 1 to 2 interviews, that's enough on the Portuguese market, but on the UK market might be a longer process, but will depend. We on IT suffer a lot for not having enough resources for all the projects that we have, right? Sometimes we have to bet on a new guy coming from university and that wants to learn more, and we try to explore that and find the person that will dedicate himself to learning a new thing, and we start training them and go from there. So there is no point on doing 3 or 4 interviews to a junior guy that just left school, right?
Okay, because we have much more demand than we have supply.
Yeah, no doubt.
Quite a unique situation in the employment market in
True.
Portugal. But you mentioned something in your outline. You said that it was a plus to be a Portuguese in an international market. So what does it translate into in real terms?
I think it's the approach that we have towards the job itself, right? We have hot blood, right? We love what we do. Normally, when we are happy on our job, we love what we do, we dedicate ourselves to it, and we will defend our job. And sometimes that can take us to have some discussions defending what we do. And I think we are a proud country, a proud people, and we are also able to pass that to the work that we do on our daily tasks, right? So we live in the global environment, right? And considering the way that the Portuguese people look at the work that they do, considering with all the other guys that we work on a daily basis from different nationalities, I think it's a place to be Portuguese. And also we will have also a bunch of opportunities to present to our colleagues from other countries, other markets, vinho do Porto, pastel de nata, presunto, those Portuguese, very Portuguese things that can make a difference in the bunch of situations. So
Okay. I believe you have settled a lot of discussions with a bit of red wine, maybe.
No doubt, no doubt. It's an icebreaker. It's an icebreaker. We can start a
totally
complicated
agree.
conversation with the client, talking about the last trip that they did to Portugal, the red wine that they drink, that special meat that they had in Lisbon, and that can help us a lot in a bunch of complicated situations. So.
Okay, so that's a good thing because it kind of introduces my next topic, which is about communication and leadership. So when it comes to communicating in a business environment, how is it? How different is it? Douglas, can you tell us something about that? Because I believe that in Portugal, we tend to be a bit more formal, at least in the early days of our professional relationship. And then we gradually evolve into a more informal and more relaxed kind of relationship. How different is it in a British company?
Yes, on the company that I worked, although we have a very small team, uh, they are very formal in the meetings. They are straight to the point, only talk about the work and the tasks that we have to do. And they leave the jokes and small talks to do on the random channel on Slack, stuff like that. So on the meetings, it's very hard when you have the opportunity to do some small talk. We are straight to the point and very.
So they don't beat around the bush. They go straight to the point
Yes,
every
exactly.
time.
Yeah, they are very punctual to the meetings and very straight to the point.
Well, that makes me wonder because the British are famous for their sense of humor. So doesn't the sense of humor play a role in your meetings? Not at all?
Very rare that you have something like that. Only, I don't know, when I have to say that I am on subway, they ask for a sandwich because they don't use subway there, they use tubes on
The
UK.
truth.
So yeah, they have this type of humor, but it's hard, especially on the meetings, it's very hard.
So it's
On,
strictly business.
yes, on the meeting, yes. On the chat, on Slack, they are more informal and they talk about other things.
Hmm.
And they
Okay.
share about, yeah, personal stuff, but on the meetings, no.
Okay. So there's a big gap, a big difference between your personal and more informal relationship and your business relationship when you're actually getting around professional problems and trying to get the solutions for your problems. They are very serious. They take it very seriously.
Yes,
Is that
exactly.
fair to say?
Sorry?
Okay. Guilherme, is this your experience too, that in British companies, business communication is professional communication is very formal and strictly business?
Uh, yes, some of these meetings, they are very formal because normally they have a list of subject that they want to approach.
So they have an agenda.
But
There is an
yeah.
agenda for a
So
meeting.
yeah, they have, for example, this list, and they have to talk in 1.5 hour. So they need to be focused on what they need to accomplish. So but there are a lot of meetings that you have to go for this meeting, but it happens that you make some joke and this kind of things. So I don't see an environment purely formal. I see, yeah, I don't know if this is because we have worked together in the office, and then later we are, remote, and then we have this connection with everyone. But I don't see British people as a very serious, like I used to think.
Mhm.
They make a lot of jokes. They, it's for me, it's a different experience, I guess.
Okay. And now I'm going to ask Bruno the same question. So Bruno, you said that sometimes you could discuss a topic over a bottle of wine or even talking about your client's last trip to Portugal. So how does it fit with Douglas' experience, for example, when he says that everything is strictly formal and professional?
Yeah, well, I understand what Douglas is saying. I think is a relation that we build every single day, right? My project already has more than 4 years, right? We have time to build that relation and see the guys that we talk every single day to move, to get married, go on vacations, to change their positions on the company, and that will allow us to get to know more about the person that is on the other side, right? Um, Normally the guys have a nice sense of humor. We can play a lot. We can or play a little, will depend. Certain persons that don't like to play. It's business as usual, and that's it. So, but we try to turn that on our favor and break some walls and take advantage of that and try to work better together, especially when we are working from different countries, sometimes from different continents and different time zones and all of that. So we need to try to reach out to the other side and try to figure out the best way to pass the information, the best way to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it must be pretty much the same all over the world. You always need to be able to read a room or read the person
Yeah,
before you know what kind of relationship you can engage into. So
exactly.
I guess we're all humans, right? Regardless of the country where we were born or where we are working. And now I'm going to stick with you, Bruno, for the time being. So, what about leadership? Would you say that they tend to be more authoritarian, more democratic? What about their management style?
I think that the a Portuguese leader will be more eager to control everything and know everything that is around him. A Portuguese company, normally the CEO will wear a suit and a tie, and
Mhm.
that's it. And without that, it will be strange. Something is going on. If we are talking about a startup, a t-shirt is okay. If
Now
we
we
are
will.
talking about a bigger company, the suit and the tie exists, and
They
that's
are
it.
mandatory.
And if I go there wearing a t-shirt, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. If we are talking about a company from the UK, a big company, multinational, whatever, they don't care. They care about how we treat the person that is next to us and what is the quality of the work that we do and what we deliver and what we head up at the end of the day to the company and to their goal.
Hmm. Okay, so would you say that the Portuguese tend to have a closer supervision of their workers?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I know that some Portuguese CEOs are suffering a lot with this lockdown and having to send the entire company to work at home. They are suffering a lot because they need to get in the morning to the company and count the heads, so they feel that they are safe and everyone is working. When this is not true, I can be seated here in front of the computer playing Tetris or whatever,
Or
right?
watching whatever.
Yeah. But on the Portuguese companies, we still have that feeling. We enter at 9 a.m. We cannot leave at 6 p.m. because we are not working. We are
That
not
that will be
a
frowned
team.
upon.
Yeah. We need to add 1 or 2 hours more. If not, we are not doing our job. Portuguese way. That is a Portuguese way, and it's something that I saw and I continue to see in several Portuguese companies. Big company, don't care if you are online, you are online. If you are not online, you are not online. They will try to catch up with you a little bit later. But the main goal is we are communicating well. We are delivering what we defined with quality. That's it.
Okay, so Douglas, I think this links with something you wrote in your outline, that there was no logging, no record of working hours, and your work would be mostly judged by your results. I mean, the ability to meet your deadlines and how much you could produce. Nobody would insist with you about doing a certain number of hours every day, but mainly on having your deliverables ready on the deadline and things like that.
Yeah,
Am I
exactly.
right?
I have this experience. You have to be online to answer questions and discuss on the channels, but there are not time sheets about your hours, and they have a lot of confidence in the developers, so they only worried about the results, so about the work you are doing. And you can propose new technologies and discuss everything. Yeah, that is very democratic on my
Very
experience.
democratic.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your experience on this, Guilherme? Do you agree with our previous contributions?
Yeah, 100%. And I can tell the same thing Bruno said about Brazilian companies. The managers are really focused on see, you are working from 8 a.m. to 19 is something like that. And my experience at VART is not like that. They are focused on the results, if you can deliver. And maybe if you are not delivering, they can question about this kind of things. Why aren't you working? Why you are not available when I call you? Maybe it happens, but when the results are not,
Satisfying.
getting the right place. Yeah, I I didn't have this experience of calling my attention to for this kind of things, but at least they give the credit for you. They don't they believe you are working well and you are delivering before judging. I have experience in Brazilian company, and the CEO said that people are talking too much. So, but the results were there. Everything we need to do, we did. So, I agree with both of you guys.
So you tend to work in a more independent and autonomous way. So they apparently they trust and delegate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have
because
your milestone.
they don't have time to, do their work and supervise everyone. This is a hard job to do.
So in general, can we draw the conclusion that the Portuguese are more prone to policing their employees than the British managers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Just one more thing, because I'm curious, what about the use of titles? Because in Portugal, we seem to be very fussy about using the right titles. Doutor is a doutor, engenheiro is engenheiro, an architect should be addressed using his proper title as well. What happens in a British company? Guilherme, what do you think? Or what do you know?
Yeah, I don't think people care much about this. Yeah. We call everyone by the name. People dress the way they want. There's no fixed thing.
Yeah, they are not so stern and so strict about these things. I have never worked in Great Britain, but I studied there for some time, and that's my experience too, that the titles were not as important there as they were here. And so I'm glad to see that you can bear witness to that. Douglas, would you say the same, that titles are not as important in England as they are in countries like Portugal or maybe Brazil? I don't know.
Yeah, I believe they don't care too much about this thing. I never see this happen. Someone asking for be called by the title or saying their title before they name. Never see that
Yeah,
happen.
I think nobody addresses anyone as a doctor unless they are
Yes.
a general practitioner or something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Bruno, can you confirm that?
Yeah. I think the title is something that comes at the end of the emails together with the signature, and we just ignore it, right? It's something that we don't use, don't care. In Portugal, we have to say sim, senhor doutor, and do a vow. So it's a little bit different, and sometimes the egos come to play when thank God we don't have that in
Yeah.
UK companies, and especially in the IT world, because it's very dynamic, always changing. It's also very relaxed regarding the hours that we work, right? What we dress. Our computer normally is full of stickers. No one will take us serious on a Portuguese company, right? So
Okay, very good. Now, let me channel this conversation into a topic that is especially interesting to me as a language teacher. How does it work in terms of language? So, you are all very good, fluent speakers of English. And English has, there is something funny about English because it is so widely spread. And there are so many mistakes being made on a daily basis when people speak English that now I have the feeling that internationally, people, non-native speakers of English, can understand one another by speaking a not so correct form of English. So when you work with native English speakers, how does it happen? What happens there? Do they make or do they make an effort to make your lives easier? What I mean by this is that do they refrain from using idioms, slang, or overly used technical jargon, for example? I'm going to ask Douglas.
Okay, yeah. I feel that they are very open to that. They don't care about if we are saying things in the wrong way. If they can understand us, it's good enough. They understand that we are not native speakers and we are making this effort to talk in English. And for me, it's a big effort and it's tiring me to speak in English. So it's harder for me to have a meeting in English than to have one in Portuguese. So I believe this is something to consider when working with UK companies because you have to speak in English all the time and write in English and read in English and understand in English. And yeah, you cannot run for that, run from that.
Well, I have that experience as well, that people are usually very tolerant and very generous
Yes.
when someone who is not a native English speaker tries and makes an effort to speak a fairly good English. But that is one thing, you know, being able to understand you, even if you or anyone else doesn't speak the best English. That's when they are not the recipients of the information, when they are giving you information, do you feel that they make an effort? Because I've been in the two situations, one in which the person who was talking to me really made an effort to speak in a very clear way, not using too many idioms, not using too much slang, and another completely different situation in which the person didn't care at all. And although my level of English was quite good already at the time, I had a hard time
Okay.
trying to get what he was telling me.
Yes.
So what do you feel?
Yes,
What's
about
their
that.
approach to that?
On my team, we are very multicultural. There are only two persons from UK, and yeah, they are the hardest ones to understand because when people that are not native speaking, I think it's easier for us to understand because they use simple words and constructions. Uh, and yeah, on my experience, they don't care about it too much. They just speak the way they speak normally. And if you don't understand, they they understand that you are not native and say it again on a simpler way. But
Hmm.
they
Okay.
made this effort, but only if you need it.
Only if needed.
Yes.
Okay.
Normally they speak the way they speak every day.
The way they would speak to another native.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Okay. And what is your experience on this, Guilherme? Do you have the same feeling?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think they make some effort to speak differently for to us, because normally we can understand them very well. They speak very normally is there's no much slangs, like there's no many slangs like American people normally do. So I don't have trouble understanding them. When I am talking, they are very tolerant. I know I make a lot of mistakes speaking, and but they understand. They try to get the content, and I think they understand very well. I have more difficult understanding Indian people speaking because we have a lot of Indians, and when they speak, what is the opposite of loud? I forgot
Low,
when
very
speak.
quietly.
Yeah, some of them are very quiet, and we cannot understand very well. But with the time, we get used it. So with British people, I don't have any problem speaking.
Well, I'm amazed because I still have many problems with the British, especially when they start
Really?
using phrasal verbs one after the other. So you must be
Um,
really great. Bruno, what
no,
can you tell us about this?
Well, I have mixed feelings since I have two completely different experience, because if we are communicating, talking, writing for the company itself internally, we have some space to fail and to start to think in Portuguese and translate it in the meeting live, and all of that is it's easy. They don't don't raise any issues with that. We are able to communicate. I don't think that they adjust the way they speak to us, because we also show ourselves very eager to speak in English, and that's it, and they are free to speak, and we will be able to understand it. The slang, well, we turn on the TV and we see American movies, see English sitcoms and all of that. The internet itself, everything that we Google, it's mainly in English. If we are searching for a line of code to save our lives, it will be explained in English and all of that. So we are used to it, and we are able to adapt to it. On the project that I am at the moment, Reckitt, the communications are all internal, so no issues there. When we are working with an international company and we are representing the company externally, like I was doing on Microsoft, oh, that will be a pain. No one wants to receive official communication from Microsoft with errors, right? Right. If someone from Microsoft calls you, that person needs to know what they are saying.
Mhm.
If not, you will be eaten alive. That's it. and that sometimes can be stressful. But if you are doing only internal communications, we are okay.
Well, and I believe that it can also be made easier for you because you all know about your technical jargon, right? You are all working with technology, so probably you know more English in that area than I do, or the average British person will know. So I think that also makes it easier. And I believe that you might not have to use many different tenses, because I can see as a teacher that many people struggle with tenses and phrasal verbs and prepositions. But I think you can just overlook all these things and focus on the technical issues.
Yeah. The message, the message will be the most important thing.
Yeah, you can
right?
get your message across, so that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So someone mentioned something, and I think it was Guilherme. Guilherme, you talked about how equally the contractors were treated when compared with internal employees, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and I guess that you said this and you outlined this because you were trying to say that also being from a different nationality, it does mean that you are going to be treated differently. So do you usually get the same treatment as a national? Although you are from a different nationality and you are working for a contractor?
Yeah, the nationality, I think there's no different at all, but we know that contractors and the regular employees, they have, even when the company is good, they have differences. Like for example, we went to remote work, and then the company provided us some money to buy a new chair, to buy a new keyboard, these kind of things. And the company offered the same thing for the contractors, and they didn't need to do it. So these kind of things, and the vacation, when you go to holidays, they try to do the same treatment for the contractors. But when I talk to some friend that are working in a company, uh, he doesn't have the same experience. He is, uh, they don't treat him, I don't know how to explain, but he felt that he wasn't being treated the same way. You can tell by seeing the situation that these ones are regular employees and these one are the contractors.
And this
So
colleague of yours, was he working for a British company as well, or was it a different company from another nationality?
Sorry.
This colleague of yours,
Yeah.
the company he was working for, was it British or a different nationality?
No, it was a Portuguese company.
A Portuguese company. Okay.
Yeah.
But generally, you would say that in working for a British company, you pretty much get the same treatment as one of their own employees.
Yeah, my experience is very good regarding this. So,
Bruno, can you contribute on this subject?
Yeah, I think will depend on the company itself. I already experienced both things, where there is no difference between a person from the company itself or other companies providing services to that company on outsourcing, right? Some I experienced completely no difference. Others I saw a bunch of difference. The way that we are treated on day-to-day basis is the same, but some small details are different. One of the companies where I worked, I would have one screen, for instance, an old one. Someone from that company would have two new ones, and small things like that. But I think it's normal and it's usual, because when we are working in outsourcing, it's more normal for us to stay there 6 months, 1 year, sometimes even less, because we just need to correct something. We just need to deploy that feature, and that's it. Small periods of time. If we stay at the company for several years, the majority of the times we are integrated in the main company, let's say like that, and there is no much difference.
Big difference in
no.
and in treatment. Okay, Douglas, so what have you experienced in this regard?
In my experience, the treatment is the same, but there are some small things that only the team in UK have, like, I don't know, they have some parties from the company that's only for the UK team. The equipment is different also. I have my equipment from Aubay, and they have from the KPHPI company. And so small things like that, I believe it's different. And there's no way to be the same, because we
So
are
there are
living.
only minor difference in terms of benefits and perks, but generally you get
Yes,
the same treatment.
generally it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel it gets in the way.
No, I don't feel
No,
it's that way.
okay, very good. Okay, we have another 30 minutes in this webinar, and I want to quickly cover the last topic that I was asked to tackle with you, which is about interpersonal relationship and social interaction. So we, the Portuguese, are known for being very affectionate people and very warm people. We tend to very easily develop personal relationships with the people we work with. This works both ways, obviously. Sometimes it's a good thing because you can upgrade your relationship to a more personal level, and then some things can be easier to solve. And sometimes and that is one of the things we are very often accused of. It's very difficult to get a straight answer from a Portuguese in professional terms, because we tend to mix a bit our professional relationships with our personal relationships. And very often, if you are engaged in a discussion and you disagree with someone, that will be read as "I don't like you anymore." This is my Portuguese experience, and that's what I've read, because I've also, I did my homework, and that's what I've read, what people said about Portuguese companies. So how would you compare, and I'm going to ask you first, Douglas, how would you compare that with the kind of personal relationship you can develop working in a British professional environment?
It's hard to me to say, because I believe working remotely is the main cause that it's hard to get these personal conversations and experience. I see on the UK company that they are very polite and try not asking too much about your personal life. But if you start talking, they hear you. And yeah, they don't used to share a lot also. But yeah, it's hard to say, because working remotely, it is different already. So
Yeah, I guess that really compromises your experience, right? It's
yes,
not a real life situation, at least not the life we used to know before the pandemic. This is a
yes.
completely different situation.
And for this, you even before the pandemic, I work remotely for this company also. They work on UK and I work here in Lisbon. So yeah, it's hard for me to tell if it will be so different from Portuguese. I can say that Portuguese from Brazilians are already different.
Oh, yes, yes. I've heard a lot about that.
And yeah, UK, I believe it's even more different. But it's hard to tell for me.
Yes, I understand, because you've been working remotely.
Yes.
Guilherme, what do you think? Is it easy to turn a professional relationship into a personal relationship when you're working in a British or for a British company?
Yeah, I can tell the same thing Douglas said. It's harder to tell when we are working remotely, but when I wasn't remote, we basically go out for some, the company decides to schedule something that everyone goes, and then we interact a lot and this kind of things. But yeah, normally we don't have many personal.
So what you are saying is that you used to have some events, but they were organized by the company and kind of
Yeah,
encouraged by the
some
company.
of the events were organized by the company, the Act 8, but some of them was us decide, oh, let's schedule this for the team, and then we go out and we have some fun. But basically, it was that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and sometimes we schedule some soccer match, but there was no British person out there.
So do you think that there is a big cultural difference in this regard between, let us say, a British company and a Brazilian one? Would people working for a Brazilian company, not working remotely, working live, would they develop personal relationships in a more spontaneous way and faster?
Yeah. Brazilian company is like the day one the company you are, going for lunch, and then you can, go to some bar and this kind of things. We normally have to pay something when we go in a Brazilian company because you are a newbie. So you have to pay a cake or some kind of things, and then we start to interact, and then we are best friends in the first day.
Okay, that's a very good description. Bruno, what is your feeling about this? How do people interact and relate to one another in a British company?
I think let me say it like this, in a normal way. Will depend on of the time that we are with them. Will depend on the relation that we develop, right? If we are only providing code and that's it, this is my code, you can review it and that's it, that relation will be limited to that interaction. If you are in a position where you have to coordinate a bunch of people, you have to go back and forward, jump in 20 calls, different calls a day, you are exposed to them in a different way. So I think it's easier for us to build a relationship with them, right? And as the time goes by, that relationship will grow. And again, it's very good to be Portuguese, right? Because
Now,
when
that
they
was going to
come
be
to
my next
Lisbon,
question.
they love to experience everything that our country has to give. And also is almost the same like our colleagues that are coming from Brazil to Portugal, that come here and feel happy and feel secure and feel comfortable of staying and working from Portugal, right? I think it's the same feeling.
Okay. All right. So I think we've reached the limit of our time, and now it's time for questions from the audience. So if anybody has a question, please step
Don't be
forward
shy.
and fire away.
I
You
Well,
have
can
a
answer that.
curiosity, actually.
okay.
I'm
Okay,
curious about
go
something.
on, Anna.
Have you had any experience? How to put it? Let me find my words here. Does any moment come to mind where you thought, oh, wait, this is a cultural difference? This is a cultural difficulty while working, while trying to trade an opinion with someone, trying to make your point view, trying to show your point of view. Have you noticed, do you remember anything in particular that you thought, okay, this is happening because I'm Portuguese and he's English?
Okay, I will allow them to answer you, but before they do, let me tell you, I have never worked in Great Britain, but I studied there. And in fact, the very first day, I had that kind of cultural shock, because when I first met my tutor, I was about to kiss him on the cheeks. And as I stepped forward, he was like, oh, what is she doing? So in something as simple as a greeting, you can tell there is a cultural difference. At least that is my experience. Very basic thing, you know. You would never think that this could be a barrier or this could create some awkward situation. And it did, you know, the very first moment. So now, anybody else? Does anybody else want to answer this question?
Okay, but I'm sorry, but I have to ask, how were you supposed to greet him then?
With a handshake or just
really?
nod and say, David? You know, that's the British way, David. But never.
How is like this?
Okay, but that's a very modern thing. I'm nearly 50, you know. In my day, these things didn't used to be done. But yeah, that happened to me. So I was supposed to shake his hands and I was jumping on the guy and trying to kiss him.
May I share something?
Yes, of course.
I actually lived and worked in the UK for 4 years. And even with your colleagues and your friends, you don't kiss on the cheek. The maximum you have is like a sort of a hug.
Yeah, but then you have
quite
to have known that person for a very long time.
Yeah, and even it's just like good friends, and it's just like kind of a hug, but not really. No, they don't like to be kissed or touched.
No, they completely feel
we have to keep a certain security distance in the office.
Social distancing was actually a British invention, you know, because they used to have it long before we've had the pandemic.
Sometimes I just treat everyone the same way. So I don't kiss the guys, I don't kiss the girls. And that's it. And then shake or that's it. Will depend. With time, we'll build some relationships. We have we have some episodes with a lot of drama when everything is down, when the code don't run, and we have a crazy delivery. And sometimes we achieve something and we celebrate. And with those moments, we have some breakthroughs, and sometimes we give kisses and we hug. Me, I only greet my colleagues with a kiss in Christmas.
Yeah,
and then they
are famous.
Celebrate some special.
But that's a great difference also. The power distance is less, but if you have parties, you would never dream of getting drunk in front of your CEO in Portugal. Yeah. And in the UK, they all get completely drunk.
Well, I think we all know the famous scene from Bridget Jones' Diary. Don't you know that film?
It is true.
And that's
it is
a
true.
classic.
It is true. I don't get drunk. And the CEO of my company actually launched a challenge to everybody else, saying that it was not normal for me to get drunk on company functions, so they should try to get me drunk. Thank God my Spanish colleague that understood that I didn't want to get drunk just gave me some notice saying, be careful because they are trying to get you drunk.
So you had some inside information.
Oh, thank God, because the Spanish agreed with me that it wasn't normal to get completely drunk on company functions.
I can talk about.
Okay, so there you go. Another cultural difference.
When I was asking, I appreciate all of your answers. It was really insightful, but I wasn't actually talking about the normal stuff, the greetings, partings. I was thinking more in terms of, for example, Bruno spoke about an occasion that as an IT sometimes happens It's when everything is breaking down, all the databases are burning, and we have to simply deal with it. Do we deal in a different way? Do Portuguese people and English people deal in different ways in stressful situations? Do they deal the same?
Yeah, I think drama is drama.
Drama
Panic is panic.
everywhere.
Whatever you are. So they scream, we scream, they cry, we cry. It's the same. When everything goes down, and we suffer in the same way. It's almost a universal
They actually
language.
swear more than we do at work, even.
I don't know. I don't think so. But that is me talking, just me.
Yeah, I heard them like swearing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a way also to release some stress.
I think my boss, he's British, he's kind of more, you know, political and less emotional. I remember my boss from Brazil, they are more, you know, more emotional when talks, when something breaks, and you know, it's a different way of dealing with the problems. I feel less pressure when something breaks. Even I know it's a urgent thing, is more like, you know, everything is under control, but but it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna fire you, but I'm really
I have
calm.
something
It's
to
like,
share. That's great. It was the end of the day, and we found this bug in production, and we are analyzing this together. And then I say, oh, I will analyze it and try to fix it today. And my boss said, you mean tomorrow, right? So they are very calm, and they don't want you to work more than your hours if not extremely needed. They are very respectful about your personal life.
Yeah, work and life balance is
Yes.
a very important topic for them. And their working hours are much shorter than ours, I would say.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think that they try to optimize their time in the office, right, and take advantage of that. So apparently, they work less hours than on a Portuguese company.
They are more focused.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you can confirm that, because I've always asked myself where TV series like The Office, for example, stemmed from. And I was wondering if when we say that British companies are generally more productive and more efficient than the Portuguese counterparts, if this is actually true, or is it just a myth? But you would say they work more efficiently.
In my experience, it's true. Yeah. The
It is.
people I work with, they are very productive.
Yeah,
I think they try to focus on the time, the right time. Extra time is exception, not the rule.
It's always exceptional.
If you tend to work late, they will start to wonder why you're taking longer to finish your work. So it's one of two problems. You have too much work, they've given you too much work, or you're not working efficiently because you're not expected to work long hours.
And you will hear something like this. How can I help? That is something that you won't hear on the Portuguese company. It's completely different approach.
In fact,
there.
As you were saying in the beginning of this webinar,
I'm sorry to be jumping in, but because I also work.
That is the point.
Because I have 4 years of experience living in UK and working for a British company, so.
Yeah, you should be one of the speakers, I think.
So they should have picked you.
Well, I'm new at Aubay, so I've only been here for 2 months. They probably didn't even know that I was.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
So are there any more questions from the audience?
Pick a name.
I have one.
Okay.
Okay, I would ask a question for to Douglas, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
hello, Felipe.
Yeah.
Hello.
Because hello, Douglas said he worked for a British company and also for a Belgian company. So I would like to know what he thinks is the big difference from British and Belgian companies. Only one difference is enough.
Try to think about something. It's very similar, in my opinion. Yeah, companies have difference, but I don't know if the difference on the companies I work was because of the country. But I will say the same about the Belgian companies. They are very punctual. They are straight to the point on the meetings, very polite, stuff like that. It's pretty much the same for me. Nothing coming to my mind in this aspect, comparing the Belgian company with the UK company.
The English is good.
It's very good, yeah.
In Europe, the countries that will maybe have some completely different approach, especially in the language, is the French. They don't like to speak English. They prefer to speak in French, and they are very, very forward with that. They defend their language and they don't want to speak in English.
In Belgium, they speak French. Just a curiosity.
Sorry. Yeah. I think so. The Belgians also speak French. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The Belgians speak French and German, and also their own language. That's Belgian.
That's Flemish.
Flemish. Yeah. Flemish. Sorry, exactly. I wasn't remembering the name.
Yeah, but the French, I think, is the nationality that they are more raise more barriers to speaking in English, and we have to try to speak in French and try to get some level.
Allow me a quick side note, because I've worked with a French company. What I've noticed is that they are extremely shy of their English. So it's almost as if they guide every newcomer to learn French because it's easier for them than their capacity of adjusting to our level of English to their level of English. So I think this is a bit of an insight regarding that, but please go ahead.
Well, it might be. I don't know. Does anyone want to add anything about this? About how much easier it is for the French to ask other people to speak French than for them to try and speak English up to the same standard as most people working international companies will do.
But come on, have you ever seen an English guy speaking any other language than English?
No.
But they don't need to.
They struggle even to understand the Scottish accent. So
so I remember they like to say things. I speak Spanish. Dos cervezas, por favor, and that was it. So they are quite proud of themselves not being able to speak other languages.
Why would they learn to speak other languages? They don't need to. They don't need to. Yeah, that's the point.
It's easy. They are never challenged to do so. Right?
That's it. And for French people, maybe it is easier for them to try to convince the newcomers to start speaking their language, because not only they would feel much more comfortable speaking on their native language, but as well to kind of reinforce some kind of culture of the company itself by guiding them with their natural language. Yeah, I think it's all a matter of culture in a way, and a matter of you feeling safer when you're speaking in your native tongue.
Yeah, I think we all feel safer when we speak in our mother tongue, of course. The question is that English is now so universal and so overwhelmingly universal that it's very, very difficult to resist that. And I must say, I admire the French a little bit because they have been able to keep their independence in language terms.
Indeed, and I agree with you. And we have even a more severe case of language proud, which is the Spanish people. They do not substitute their Spanish for any other language in the world. And if you watch for a bit of a time the Spanish television, for instance, everything is doubled in their in Spanish, and they do not even listen to the original sound of a footage of a crime series or whatever we are talking about. So if we are to name a people that is very proud of their language, of their culture, probably Spanish is even more than the French or the English people.
Yes, yes. I was just saying that I can understand that you feel safer speaking in your mother tongue, and I admire these people for this, but I'm not sure if it is very effective if you want to get international, because then you need to work in multicultural teams. And the way I see it, there's no alternative to English. It is by far the most spoken language all over the world. So I don't think we can fight that.
I agree.
Yeah, comparing, I can say something. I wonder if Brazilian would like to reinforce the Brazilian language, and I think, okay, how difficult it is for foreign speak fluently the Brazilian language, Portuguese. So I think is harder than learn English. English you can learn, in 1 year, and then I think for this point, English is the best language for the universal status.
Because it's the simpler one. Portuguese is a very complicated, it's very intricate language.
I wouldn't call it simple because the way that you write English words, it's not necessarily the same as they sound. So
yes, the
pronunciation
actually.
You're right. But learning a language, at least at a first contact, when you're communicating with someone else, you're talking to that person. So it would be easier, and you won't start by learning how to write it. And let's not even go that way, because Portuguese is not a simple language to write as well.
No, actually, phonetically, the easiest and the safest language in the world is Spanish. It's the only language that is written exactly the same way as it's spoken. You only have one sound for each vowel. So the easiest language in the world in terms of phonetics is actually Spanish. Much easier than English or Portuguese. Portuguese is quite difficult in terms of phonetics. Very, very difficult. We have sounds that nobody else has. But in terms of phonetics to speak, actually Spanish is easier to learn than English.
And I never learned Spanish.
Well, I'm afraid I disagree with that. I don't think the English, it's such an easy language as most people would think. Okay, is there a question? Is there anyone trying to ask a question? No? Oh, I thought I heard someone. I was just going to say that I don't think that English is by any means an easy language. What I think is that up to the intermediate level, it's a language where you make quite fast progress. Be it because you don't have so many variations when you use the verbs, be it because most of your life is nowadays run in English. Internet is full of English, TV is full of English. And After that, English.
That's why I called it simpler and not easy.
Yeah, but up to an intermediate level, and which I think is probably a very comfortable level for people to communicate and interact in a business context.
Yeah.
If you want to go any higher than that, if you want to start reading books, if you want to start writing essays, then you will find out that English grammar is actually very complex and full of subtleties and lots of exceptions in many ways that nobody can explain. Just to give you an example, at the proficiency exam, you are tested for the use of the article D. You are never tested for the use of definite articles at the proficiency C2 level in any other language, because the rules are clear.
Yeah.
But even for this is very complex in English. But I think that we have settled for this intermediate level, and at the same time, a new language very similar to English was born. A new language has been born, made up of this huge community of non-native speakers that have learned to use English and have started communicating with one another, and have found a way of understanding one another, as I said in the beginning, sometimes without speaking proper English. So we are not talking about English only, we are talking about a new universal language that is emerging in the world.
Yeah, and it fits for 99% of the cases, the practical use, you know, at least for my word of working in an IT company, this intermediate level is easy, it's simple to get, you know. In 1 year, you can get a technical English, if I can tell like this. But I agree, when you go to higher levels, if you go, for example, in Brazil and read Machado de Assis, you won't understand even if you are fluent. And I think every language has this kind of levels where, you know, it's really difficult to get.
Yes, but the thing is that for English, most people, or a very significant number of people around the world, have reached this level. And now there is this huge community that can communicate because they have their own dialects. You know, it is inspired in English. It has many similarities with English. It's not the perfect English, but we've achieved that level. We've reached that level, and that's more than enough. And we can live on that.
I've heard it called the international English.
Oh, but you have a name for it?
Yeah, I've heard it
There's
called
a definition for it?
The international English. It's just like the English that everybody around the world speaks. It's not like the UK English, but I lived and worked in an environment, and when I was we were very few foreigners, and I was surrounded by British English guys, and they kept correcting my accent and my grammar. If I missed some H's, I would be told off that I was missing H's, like hospital. So it depends a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Any more questions, anyone? No? Well, I think we have exceeded our time by nearly 5 minutes, but again, we didn't start at the right time. I have only one question I would like to ask you, and it is related with women. We can see that here in Portugal, IT is mainly a man's world. You can find a lot more men working in this area than women. I don't know what are the reasons for this, if more men are attracted to this kind of degree, this kind of training than women. What I know is that there is still some prejudice and there is still some double standard when it comes to recruiting, hiring women. at least in Portugal. What's the situation like in British companies? Are we any better in British companies regarding women?
If the company is big, the equity will be a thing, can be a flag.
Oh, what are you
Right.
calling equity here? I'm sorry.
Having the
Almost
same
the
number
same.
of men and women
Quotas.
working
Oh,
for.
quotas. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
quotas. They
yeah.
have quotas for men and
Yeah.
women, for disabled people. They have a lot of
Exactly.
Positive
quotas.
discrimination.
That can be a thing. Me talking as a team lead that needs to recruit, we receive a great amount of candidates that are men, and that's it. I don't know if it's something that is not appealing to the opposite sex. I think that they have the same or even more capability of working as a developer, data scientist, but maybe there exist other areas that are more appealing, right? Developers don't like people; they like machines. At least the majority. They prefer to speak with a computer than speak to a human being.
I can't really tell because I'm not a developer. I'm a project manager, and I don't come from IT, so
yeah,
I can't really tell because
yeah, it's a different mindset. Being a project manager, team leader, Scrum Master is a different mindset of being a
I'm
developer,
not IT.
an hardcore.
I'm not IT.
Yeah, an hardcore developer. I work with fantastic colleagues from the opposite sex with great capability. I think the area is not that charming at some level for them, but the capability they have. At least that is my opinion. I try, to be honest, I try to bring more women to my team, because when I try to manage a group, I prefer to manage a group itself with different persons, different ages, different backgrounds, than only managing a bunch of males, right? That have those behaviors, and we need to try to balance things and to have a good environment, an healthy environment. So we need more women on IT, no doubt.
Okay, in both Portuguese and British companies.
I think it's the same. Speaking about developers, I think is the same. If you are speaking about project managers, Scrum Masters, and all of that, I think it's easier to find the skills and to have more women interested in the area.
Okay.
Do you know of any women? I'm sorry to interrupt, but this popped up out of curiosity.
For further contributions, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know we are over time. I can speak about this later if it's necessary.
Ask.
Have you seen any in Britain? Have you seen any women developer ascend into being the Scrum Master, team leads, etc.?
Yeah. No, with no major problems.
Okay.
Hello. Excuse me. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. I'm Bianca. I have an engineering background, and I would like to add to what Bruno said, that maybe perhaps this isn't an issue about the workspace itself. Perhaps women aren't fostered into IT and into developing careers because they don't really see it as something they could do. And I kind of disagree that all the devs are kind of shy or they don't really work well together. I think it really depends. There are some devs that are very outgoing, but I really think it hits back to university and not being fostered as a possible career. At least that's my personal experience, although I work with QA, which is a little bit off from the dev team itself.
Okay, does anyone want to comment?
Yeah, I have an opinion. no, it's not an opinion, it's just something that I would say. Uh, I think when you go to the college, there are, 38 men and 2 women in the class. So I guess the this could be changed before going to the college, because I am working as a recruiter as well, a technical recruiter. Recently, we accepted a woman in the process. Her merit, there was no difference in analyzing her resume and her code than a man. But I am glad that more women is coming to developer area, because we have more product managers, scrum masters, these kind of roles that have more women. Uh, so I think I don't know if the problem should be treated before, when people are younger, when you not incentive the girl to play with dolls, only dog. I need someone to be, let the child choose whatever he or she likes. If the girl wants to play with a car, I don't know. I think this kind of thing is more cultural. Where at least computer science people are known by being people that are antisocial, but I think this kind of thing is changing. When I see people now, people are just more, like you said, Bianca, ongoing than before. People to work as a developer were people that, uh, stand in a chair 24 hours. They don't have friends. They like Coke and pizza. We still love Coke and pizza, but it's not only that. But Sophia, I think you are mute.
Well, that and the need to act more upstream in the process to have this situation corrected, and this big gap between the number of men and women who work in IT, that would take us into a completely different and a whole new discussion.
Yeah,
So
more than
I
one and a
think,
half hour.
yes, yes, definitely. So I think we have accomplished our goals. I think we can draw some conclusions. Yes, there are differences, significant differences between Portuguese and British companies. British companies tend, at least judging by the experience that our speakers have shared with us, they tend to be more effective, more respectful of the working hours. They tend to be more informal in terms of their communication. They don't usually use their titles when engaging in normal professional interaction. They don't keep such a close supervision of their employees. People work based on their deadlines and the tasks they have to accomplish, rather than just fulfilling a timesheet that's going to be under control, controlled by someone else. So generally, managers in British companies, they don't take attendance. They just leave you, they give you your task, they delegate, and they trust that you'll be able to deliver that on time. In terms of language, it doesn't seem to be a problem, even if your English is not the best, because they will make an effort. The British native speakers will tend to make an effort to understand you. And because you are working in a world that is mainly an English world. So I think you all have a very good command of the technical part of this language. So it shouldn't be a problem. Basically, according to what our speakers said, working as a contractor and someone coming from a different country is not a problem. You generally are treated the same as an internal employee. And please help me if I'm leaving anything behind. Of course, there's a difference in salaries and the offers you get, but I think we can all understand that. So basically, I would say that it's, and the working hours, because they seem to be very respectful of the working hours, and they seem to value greatly the fact that you have a life of your own and you don't kind of wear yourself out working and doing your job. Ruth, from my side, I think we're all done, but I don't know if anyone wants to add anything.
Yeah. If it's all, we can, close this talk, and thank you all.
Bruno, Guilherme, Douglas, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just thank you for the opportunity. If some of you guys never work for a UK company, can be a good challenge, can be also a good way to improve your English, can be a fantastic experience. So don't be afraid. Go ahead.
Yeah, the future as well.
Final allegations?
No, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I thought I would be worse than I did. and I thought that there will be many more people. So I think we get closer to some people because of that, because it was a few people. Thank you.
Okay. Douglas?
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. So, Ruth, so no more questions. Ruth, can we close this?
Yes, thank you all for coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Good night,